welcome to Random Fandom Chats. I'm Tandra.
I'm Dee Dee.
And this is Annabeth. And here we talk about sci-fi and fantasy related items. And today's episode is about Warehouse 13.
Now, probably the first thought that I have when I think of Warehouse 13 is that it's one of the few shows, especially sci-fi shows, where I watched it all the way to the end and I actually liked the ending. There were a couple of things that I was a little bit meh about, which I won't mention just in case you guys haven't seen the show. But I did like the ending for the most part, and it actually had an ending, which is rare, especially for science fiction shows. Usually, they just get canceled halfway through before they can complete their story.
They have to stop. Yeah, no, I thought they did a great job of completing the whole story pretty well. For those of you not familiar with the show, the basic concept is that there's this warehouse in South Dakota that's basically ever expanding as it needs to be, that holds all of these different, they call them artifacts, but basically they're items that have been imbued with something important because they belong to somebody important, or because they were part of something
historical event,
or something happened, and basically the idea is that objects absorb this power, and that if people get a hold of it, it causes havoc in the world and some different things happen, and they have to go get them and bring them back and keep them safe in this warehouse.
There's a couple of mundane items, like there was Marilyn Monroe's hairbrush that when you brush your hair with it, it turned your hair platinum blonde, I think.
Right, so some things were relatively harmless, but then you had other things that were much more serious.
Like one of them I remember specifically was a samurai sword that belonged to this great samurai, and it made the wielder, become invisible.
Yeah.
So, imagine the havoc you could wreak with that.
Yeah, so there was all different kinds of things. One of the things I liked about the show was it just wasn't science fiction and kind of serious plots and all, but it had a lot of humor.
It did, and it mixed humor with serious undertones very well, which is rare for any show, to be honest, but especially in science fiction.
And all my favorites do that. All my favorite shows.
I love humor mixed in with more serious undertones. That is one key thing that I love about some TV shows.
The characters had great banter back and forth.
You loved all of the characters. Every single one of them you liked and could relate to in some way, I thought.
Right.
I even liked a lot of the villains they had on there.
A lot of them were pretty cool. Also, what's neat is the characters had a lot of quirks and some things involved with them. Sometimes they told some really cool backstories with some of the characters, which were really nice. And then they had a lot of cool props too.
Yes, visually it was a great show just because they had some really neat looking stuff on there. Like one thing that, actually, if you guys watched our cosplay special, they had this thing called a Farnsworth, which was their communication device, and we actually made one of those, or a friend of ours did, for a cosplay, and it's really neat. It's like this tin case, and it opens up and has a little video screen and whatnot, and it kind of looks steampunky almost, kind of old technology, but also kind of futuristic. Right,
which is really neat. And when they show the warehouse, you got this zip line that you can go through to get to different parts.
Because it's a large warehouse.
Huge warehouse. I love it when they walk through the warehouse and they run across these different artifacts that do different things.
One character is always wanting to play with different artifacts.
Like, don't touch that!
Like there's one where he's playing ping pong with himself because this mirror can actually like influence the real world, but it turns out to be Lewis Carroll's mirror, the author.
Through the looking glass. So
it turns out not to be a great thing to play with, but he keeps playing with stuff, you notice. He doesn't really learn his lesson.
Yeah. I always get reminded of the Librarian TV show when I see this, because they deal with these historical artifacts or these things, and you got this character who does kind of play with stuff or messes with things that maybe you shouldn't. Somebody used to say that used to get crossed with Indiana Jones gets crossed with X-Files.
Which actually, I think that's a pretty accurate description, actually.
A little bit. Yeah, it's pretty cool. There's a lot of great guest stars or recurring characters. Lindsay Wagner is in several episodes. CCH Pounder, who's in a lot of great stuff. She's just really good. She was
it's very well acted.
Right. So there's some great people. Aaron Eismore's in it, who was in Smallville. So yeah, there's some great characters. There's some great actors. The storylines are fun. It crosses over some with Eureka, which is another pretty interesting show that's out there for those of you who haven't seen that. They do some crossovers.
It also has some interesting things dealing with history. Sometimes it may not be completely accurate. They might, you know, over-romanticize some stuff and smudge history a little bit. But from what I can tell, a lot of times they try to be as accurate as possible, or at least play on history in the light that why it actually makes sense that was how it was.
Sometimes they take their own take on history a little bit, or they will take what we know about history and twist it up, but good sci-fi can always do that really well. I like some of the historical characters. They sometimes bring up H.G. Wells, and there's a few others that, you know,
And they have interesting takes on those characters, which, again, we won't go into just in case you guys haven't seen the show.
Right,
but...
so it definitely takes a story that's kind of a common concept and kind of put their own little spin on it, which is pretty cool. So it's definitely a show worth watching.
And it can appeal to a lot of audience. We have several friends who aren't really into a lot of science fiction shows, but they can get into this. And I think it can appeal to pretty much anybody.
It's great to watch with your family, friends.
Your children.
Right. Anybody, you know, because it's a great show to watch regardless of it being science fiction. It's fun to watch just anyway. It's just fun. So it's one of those shows. So why don't we see what we're going to do for next time? And Beth, you ready to pick out something? Maybe? Not quite with it today.
You gonna pick one?
I don't know. We'll see. Hey. I guess not. I'll let you pick one.
Alright, let's just pick one on the end there. Alright, let's see what we got. Pirates of the Caribbean.
Okay.
Actually, the new one is coming out, so that will be an interesting topic to do. Alright. If you guys like this video, please consider giving it a thumbs up. If you like what we do, subscribe. Leave any comments you might want to in the section below. Tell us what you think of the show. If we've gotten you interested in the show, you might pick it up. And any other suggestions. Thanks.